Good morning, you guys. It's Robin, and welcome again to the Mom Squad community. And I'm so excited about this group, and I think it's going to be so amazing. And please, if you know moms, please invite them to join this group. Feel free to add anybody as long as they are a parent, moms and dads alike. Okay. So one of the things that we talked about late last week was yelling, and we're going to tackle these kinds of things, because moms tend to try to suffer in silence and feel like they're the only ones who are going through a certain thing. But the truth is that we are all going through the same or similar situations, and our ability to work with one another, to communicate with each other, is going to be a huge asset for us as parents, regardless of how old your kids are. There are moms on here with kids of every age, from brand new babies all the way up to grown adults. And so please share your experiences as well. And what's helped you along the way. There was some really good book recommendations on that particular post. So should you be looking for a book, I put some links on there for those particular books. So if you are going to recommend something, I will always try to find a link for it and post it so that people can find it. Okay, so please feel free to always offer those recommendations as well. So yelling. I'm pretty sure that most moms, I would say a good 99% of us have yelled at some point, and often it is at the end of a lot of really nice asks, so something as simple as put your shoes on, please put your shoes on, 6 times. The 7th time comes out a little louder. And so I wanted to just offer a couple of tools that I have found really effective and really helpful, especially the first one for those of us who, I was going to say who still have kids at home, but you know what? Actually, this goes for all your relationships. And so if you have kids who are adults, or if you have even your spouse, this first tool would be really helpful for you, and it is all around expectation. And so often we expect our people in our lives, especially our little ones, to behave or react in the same way that we would behave or react. And if you think about that, really, that's a big ask for a little one, okay? Because we're expecting a little one to understand our expectation, and that's pretty hard for them to do. But even when you're dealing with adults, we have to recall and remember that all of us are different, and so what we expect and how someone would respond or react to something comes from how we would respond or react to something. And so then when they don't, there's almost like this shocking moment of like, wow, I can't believe you just did that. But not because that what they did was so poor or so bad, but simply because it was not what we would do. And so we forget that other people are different than us, even our kids. Often your kids are like you in some ways, but they're not going to be like you in every way. And as they're growing, they hit these phases, and you hear things like terrible 2s or terrible 3s, teenage 3s. You hear about the teenage years. Parents talk a lot about the teenage years, and the reason that those stages are sort of hitting so forcefully in personality is because they are the phases when our children are really starting to develop their own personality. So a 2-3-year-old is really just now coming into a space where they can confidently speak what they want, but not all the time as thoroughly as they would like. So their language is not as developed as their needs and desires and wants. And so often when they are reacting or overreacting, in our opinion, where that is coming from is from an inability to truly express what it is that they want to say or what it is that they want to do. And if you think about a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, they're also gaining this amazing independence. They can now do some stuff on their own. And then in their little world, that's all they can control is these new things that they can now do, like something like putting on their own shoes, okay? So I'm just gonna use that as an example. So at 2 or 3, they can now put on their own shoes. For us, that's kind of cool. Good for you, babe. For them, this is a big deal that they can do this by themselves. And so then when we are in a rush or we're running out the door and we need them to do it immediately, we tend to want to do it for them because we know that we will be faster at it, okay? And I'm using shoes as one example, but there's multiple examples of this same scenario, okay? And so if you think about all of the things that are going through your mind in that moment have to do with where you're going, where you need to be, what time it is, all of these thoughts are going through your mind, plus all the things you have to pack and all the things you need to bring with, right? You've got a lot going on. The only thing that your little one is thinking about is, I'm gonna put on my own shoes. Like literally this is their mind. Or they're distracted because, oh look, a pencil crayon, or something comes in. That was good, right? Or something comes in their way and that distracts them. They don't understand all of this extra stuff that's going on in your mind. So your expectation versus their expectations are very different, and that's often where conflict occurs. I'm sure you can agree. So that's one situation. Then we go through and we find all these other ways through the years as they get older where the same sort of thing is happening, only your kid is older now. And so they can express and they can speak, but are we allowing them? And that's another thing that we do, okay? So I'm putting this all back on you moms and dads because we're the adults and they're the kids. And sometimes we are the one who are actually causing the conflict because we are trying to get what we need done and what we want done. And we understand that we have responsibilities. But sometimes in the running about and working on our own responsibilities, we're sort of dragging them along with us. We're forgetting that they are also trying to grow up into adults. They're also trying to become adults themselves. And so our expectation of them is what we want or need, but their expectation of what's going to happen and what's going to occur is quite narcissistic on their side about their needs and wants, because they are actively growing up and trying to become independent from us. And that brings me more past the toddler years and up into those teenage years when they are really actively trying to separate from their parents. They're trying to come up with their own belief systems, and they're learning more from external sources, teachers, peers, especially peers, and all of those sorts of things. And so there's this sort of active separation occurring because they're supposed to be leaving us soon, right? They're supposed to be leaving the nest. It's almost like when a mama bird pushes the baby out of the nest so that they can fly. That's happening to us sort of without an active push, or sometimes it's there, but you know what I mean. And so as they are actively working to become their own adult, sometimes in doing that, they are trying. They're trying to not be like you. They're trying to do the opposite of what you're doing. And they sometimes in their 20s or whatever, and those of you who have adults, I've heard that they come back around after that. But it's really forceful independence. Like they're really trying to become independent and become their own person. And all they want from us is for us to recognize that they are that own person, okay? Listen, I am not telling you that I never yell anymore. I'm just telling you that this has helped me sort of take a moment or take a step back so that sometimes when those moments are coming upon me, I can actually remove myself from that sort of trauma in my own mind that makes me want to express in such an aggressive way. It's helpful to understand that your expectations are what you want and what you would do. But these are other human beings, even though they're little or medium sized, they're still a whole nother personality that we're managing within our home. And sometimes we are placing our expectations way up on top of them, piling it up, and they're working really hard to become independent human beings of their own. And so there is a push back into that. When they're little especially, they are very much in this very small world of, I'm going to put on my own shoes today. And that's all they can think about, and that's all they want to do. And so when we try to remove that from them, it's very upsetting to them because that's all they want, you know? So start to think about in your home, in your world with your kids, how is it that expectations on either side are causing that conflict that's occurring, that yelling that's occurring within the home. I hope this is helpful for you guys, okay? So that's expectations. The second part, and I don't want to talk for too much longer, but the second part that I wanted to talk to you guys about is being aware of your triggers. And somebody had stated that in the comments. They said those are my triggers, and so I think it was Danny. And so the triggers that we have, those are our own responsibility. So it is not up to our kids or our husband or our coworkers or our boss. It is not up to those people to understand our triggers. But if we know what our triggers are, it can be helpful for us to say, okay, this is my problem, this is my trigger, this is not about them. Because really, again, your kids are all about themselves and in their growing up phases. That all they're thinking about is themselves. And I know sometimes that is the trigger, but that's part of them building up into their own independence. They're creating and building. If you've done any Warrior Women mentorships with me, then you understand how I like to talk about the subconscious mind. They're building their subconscious city. They're building up their subconscious mind with all of these experiences and all of these things that are occurring around them, building up into their own belief systems. So part of that brings them into themselves. They're very internal. They're very narcissistic, and but not in a negative way. It's just part of the process of their growth. So when they interrupt you, or when they are doing something that is causing a trigger of yours to come off, that is your issue, not theirs. Okay, so we can try to help them to understand what our triggers are, but they aren't always going to win in that. They're still going to sometimes knock those triggers up. Set those triggers off. So please take some time in this next week to really just sort of heighten the awareness in your home and really start to see, oh, that really sets me off. What is that? And maybe I can do something about that. Oh, okay, I see that it's really important for her that she really, really wants to put her shoes on. So I'm going to just take a breath and walk away and give her that moment she needs, or 10 minutes that she needs to put her shoes on, etc., etc., etc. Whatever it is for you, okay? Those are just examples that I'm using. You guys do what you want with it. I want to hear what happens, okay? So I want to hear successes. I want to hear like, well, I didn't quite make it through that one. I want to hear the stories. So please comment below. Let's talk about it. Let's create a conversation, okay? I want you guys to head over to my Patreon page, Patreon, and take a look at some more videos there. And if you want to support Warrior Women, I would really appreciate that. You can do so at different levels. There's mentorship levels in there as well. We would love to have your support. It would be really great to help us grow and bring more guests and bring more workouts and bring more and more and more for you guys every day. I hope you're having a fabulous one. Mwah! We'll see you soon. Bye.